You made a phenomenal decision today to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, because our special guest is wide receiver coach Troy Walters. And this guy is a great football player himself. He won the Fred Biletnikoff Award at Stanford, the best wide receiver in the nation. Played with the Indianapolis Colts and Peyton Manning, and I tell you, he knows the game. He knows the wide receiver position. The players respond to him, respect him, because he's been there, done that. They work hard. He gets maximum effort out of them. They perform at an extremely high level, whether it's Jamarr Chase, who has a club record 15-catch game for 192 yards, or if it's Trenton Irwin, who has a personal best 8 catches for 60 yards in a role that supports with Higgins injured, with Charlie Jones injured. Trenton Irwin steps up and plays his tail off. So that's what the wide receiver group is all about. They have a great room. They play with a lot of emotion and intensity, and Troy Walters is responsible for that. And you'll understand why when you hear this guy is the best. Thanks for taking some time to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, we're in the studios at First Star Logistics, and we've got a very special guest today. We've got a guy who is a tremendous wide receiver himself at Stanford. Some special mention honors, most, I think, significantly. How about the Fred Biletnikoff Award winner is the best wide receiver in the country while at Stanford. So this guy knows of what he speaks. His players, he, of course, went on to an NFL career, Indianapolis Colts with a guy named Peyton Manning as his quarterback for a bit. So his players know he knows of what he speaks, and they respond to this guy, and they love him. I'm telling you, every man in that room can't say enough about Bengals wide receiver coach Troy Walters, and we appreciate you joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
So, man, Jamarr Chase, in the last 2 games, or last 3 games, I should say, 33 catches in the last 3 games. I'm telling, unbelievable. He had a 15-catch game to break the club record, targeted 19 times, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. This guy, special, isn't he, Coach? I mean, what is it that makes him? What is the thing that is maybe the most significant trait or thing that he possesses that makes him so special, or is there just one?
Yeah, well, one of the things it's really an intangible. He has great work ethic. I mean, every day he comes to work. He never gets complacent, and he just works his tail off. He stays after practice with me, works. So a lot of times maybe a first round top 5 pick may rest on his athletic ability and stop working. But the day we drafted him, he's come in and really put in the work day in and day out. And then, he has just a combination of things, great hands. He's a strong run after the catch receiver, has great speed. And so just a combination of all those things makes him a special player.
The catch he made on the 63-yard touchdown where, I mean, he made it look so easy, but the ball, when it's like pretty much directly over your head, that's the toughest one to catch, isn't it?
That's a tough catch. And I think a lot of people watch it and say, that was a routine. He needs to make that easy catch. But after watching it, the way that, like you said, it went right over top of his head, kind of had to flip his head a little bit. That was a fantastic catch and great concentration. And we needed that. That was a big play in the game, really a momentum swing, and really got us rolling there in the second half.
And the other thing about him, he's got all these physical traits, and then you talked about the intangible with his work ethic, and then his football IQ. I mean, he can line up anywhere and absorb what's supposed to be done, and he's always in the right place, doing the right thing, and complete trust no matter where he is on the football field with quarterback Joe Burrow. That's got to be enormous.
Yeah, that's one of the things that he's done since he's been here. He's really expanded his knowledge of the game, expanded his knowledge of the offense, where now we can move him around and play different positions, play different spots, understanding coverage and what the defense is trying to do. And, with a special talent like himself, defense is key in on him. So if he's just always on the outside as a number one receiver, it's easy to cover him. It's easy to roll coverage. And so now we're able to mix where he lines up, where he aligns, and really presents problems to the defense.
It seems like that's gotten contagious. Trent, I'm going to talk about Trenton Irwin. Here's another guy that steps up and has an 8-catch, 60-yard game, a personal record. 8 catches is an unbelievable performance by him to go with the 15-catch game that Jamarr had, which is a club record as well as his individual record. But Trenton was talking about how, under your guidance, he can line up anywhere and feel comfortable with the knowledge of these assignments. I remember back in the day, we might have had one guy that could do that in a great year, maybe 2. But now it seems like you've got all your guys doing that, Coach. I mean, do you do that with the young receivers too, with the Charlie Joneses and the Yoshi Vosses and those guys?
Yeah, when they come in, we try to install and teach them the entire offense and teach them concepts so they can play multiple positions. One of the first things I say to young guys is that the more you know, the better. The more you know, the more valuable you are. The more positions that you play, it's going to be hard to get rid of you. And so Trenton is one of those guys that has come in and he's learned all the positions. Great route runner. Quarterbacks have trust in him. I kind of relate my story. When I played, I was just like Trenton. I was the 4th, 5th receiver amongst some great receivers. And anytime, my number was called, I had to step up, I had to produce, and there couldn't be a drop. And so he has that same attitude that when his number's called, he's ready, he's prepared. And so you never fear, you never worry when he goes in the game, because usually the ball's going to go to him and he's going to make a play.
We had him on our radio show on Friday before the game. And then he stepped up and had that huge game. So we're kind of taking credit for it now. Just kidding. But when
keep having him on.
Yeah. When he was talking about you, Coach, it wasn't just the words he was saying, because, on radio, that's all you can hear. But the expression on his face, the look that he had when he was talking about what you've meant to his career was like, man, I'm thinking, man, he has a special place in his heart for you now. There's a bond there, and it's more than just being fellow alums at Stanford. I mean, he respects the heck out of you and everything you're about.
Yeah, I appreciate Trenton, and I respect him too, his work ethic. Like I said, his resiliency. We cut him at last camp and brought him back next day, and he was on the practice squad for a few weeks. And like I said, he always prepares. He's the first one out on the field, last one to leave. Studies every position, and the quarterbacks have trust. The coaches have trust, and he's just a guy that you want on your team. He can do everything. He's had a great day returning punts. And so whatever number and whatever role he's called and asked to do, he delivers.
He does. I mean, he takes ownership of that role. There's no question about it. And when his opportunity comes, this dude is always physically and mentally ready, isn't he? And like you said about the return game, he was a huge factor there. 4 punt returns for 68 yards, averaged 17 per along at 28. That's a few first downs that offensively you don't have to worry about. That's big time, isn't it? And then
those are hidden yards, and we really preach to all the returners, hey, if you can get 10 yards and a first down, that's huge for the offense. And typically in this league, if you average 10 yards a return at the end of the season, you're probably in the top 5. So it's not easy to return punts. And so to average, 17, 18 yards, that's a tremendous day.
Really is. I mean, if he had enough returns, he'd be 5th in the NFL right now in punt returns if he had enough to qualify. And you know all about that too. You provided that for your football team. The other thing about him that I love is, man, he blocks his tail off, man. When it's on the edge in the running game or a wide receiver screen block for a teammate or whatever, the dude, he gives you everything. He puts it all out there.
Well, he doesn't take a day for granted, and so whenever he's on that field, he's gonna give it all, give everyone his all, and make sure he's doing the right thing. and he understands that if he's not, then you can be out of this league quickly. So he's one of those perfectionists and a guy of receiver of great detail, and when he goes on the field, he contributes.
So Jamarr can line up anywhere and everywhere. Trenton Irwin can do that. Higgins has lined up in multiple spots. Is Tee capable of lining up anywhere for you as well, or all your veteran guys in that category, Coach?
Yeah, really everybody we have can line up. We want to move him around, even a Tee. We don't want him to just line up on the outside and where you can easily get doubled and guys can get up and press you. We want to make sure we move him around, and you've seen that this season where he's lined up at number 3. Sometimes he lines up by himself on the backside, and so we always want to be able to move guys around, put them in advantageous situations, and so he's a guy. He understands the offense, and so he can move around as well.
And your position got nicked up a little bit. The football gods weren't kind in the early stages of the season. You got Tee with a little bit of the rib problem, and Charlie Jones with the thumb, the fracture there in his thumb. It tests your depth right away, doesn't it?
It does, and that's one of the first things that we talk about in spring and even in fall camp is that we've got to have depth. Injuries happen. You hope they don't, but they typically do, and that the next man has got to be ready to step in, and there can't be a loss of production. And we since I've been here, we've been able to do that. We've been able to replace guys when they've gone down. Last year Jamarr missed 4 or 5 games, and a Tee and Trenton and TB, they all stepped up and contributed while he was gone. And this year we've been hit with the injury bug, but we've got guys who, they know the offense, they know what's expected, they know the standard, and so when their number's called, they're ready to produce.
It seems like the veteran guys, when you're talking about those kind of things, they know the standard, they know what's expected. The veteran guys get the young guys up to speed in that regard pretty darn quickly. I mean, and the young guys look to those veteran guys as, role models, leadership. You have a pretty good room in that wide receiver room, don't you?
Yeah, we have a great room. The older guys, TB and Tee and, Jamarr, he's an older guy in that room. They really, and Stanley Morgan, they really set the tempo, set the culture. When young guys come in, new guys, or even rookies come in, it's an easy group to get along with. That's one of the things I love about them. Is they make new guys feel at home, and Andre and Charlie and Shed, those guys have they embrace those guys, and now they're part of the family. They get along, they hang out. So it's always good to see, because you got to have that camaraderie off the field in order to be tight on the field, and we have that, and it all stems from the veteran guys and their personality and their outgoing nature and their selflessness. They're not envious, they're not jealous, they're not worried about a guy coming in taking their spot. They want to help who's ever on this roster.
Talk about how big it was when Kwami Lassiter made that catch for a couple of yards. I mean, obviously his dad was, a legend at that with that franchise, and his mom was there, and Joe Burrow put a little tag on a run play with, they could potentially throw it, and he gets that ball out for his first catch, that 2-yard reception, and that had to be just what was going through your mind and your heart at that point, Coach?
Yeah, it's a great moment. Nothing but joy, happiness for Kwami. Like I said, just like Trenton, that he's come in and he's worked his tail off, and he was a free agent, and probably got offered maybe more money to go other places, but he said, no, I want to be a Bengal. I trust what you all are saying, and he's come in and done a heck of a job. Works his tail, works his butt off. As a guy that, if you have to bring him up off the practice squad, you feel confident that he's going to go in and make plays. And just to go back home and like you said, where his dad had a great career, and to be able to get his first NFL catch, and it was special because he deserves it. He's earned it. He's a tremendous young man, and he's always ready too. So if he had to play more in that game, he could have gone in and made some plays, and we'd have been confident that he would have. So just happy, proud of him, and when his number's called, he'll be ready to go again.
Yeah, that was kind of like a made-for-TV moment, almost like a made-for-TV movie, that
Mhm.
whole thing, man. That brought a lump to my throat, I know. That's really good stuff. The thing that I really respect, as a former lineman, where you gotta, just get your nose dirty and there's not a whole lot of glamour and glory that goes with it. I really respect how your receivers all block for each other and for the running backs and everybody else. I mean, there's not one guy that's not willing. And I mean, they get after it. And that's a tribute to you and them for, responding to the techniques you're teaching and going out and executing them.
It really comes down to the culture that Zach's established here in terms of being unselfish, being a team first player. And those guys have bought into that. And we just, I just continue to model and echo, what Zach from the top, what he preaches. And those guys understand. And there's so much love amongst the players that we want to block for Joe Mixon and Chris Evans and who's ever back there getting the ball. And we want to make sure that when they get the ball that we're doing what we have to do so they can be productive and make plays and because we know that they're going to do the same for us. We run a route, you got to have the offensive line for blocking and the running backs protecting. And, it is not just about us. So we understand that. We understand that big plays in the run game are made because receivers are getting after it down the field. You can get 4 or 5, but those explosive runs, those 15, 20, 30-yard runs, a lot of times is because the receivers are, blocking down the field and giving extra effort. So we don't want to be one-dimensional. We don't want to just be pass catchers. We want to be pass catchers, run blockers. We want to do the dirty work as well.
Tell you, sometimes, Jamar's so damn strong, his entire body. I mean, I think his fingernails can bench 300. It's crazy. I mean, when he lights people up, and when he blocks them too. I mean, he lights them up when they try to, bring him down with poor technique. He makes them pay for that. But he's a physical dude, man. I love watching that guy play. Give us an update on the two rookies. Charlie, I know, is injured right now, but how is Charlie doing? What was he giving you? And what about Andre?
Yeah, Charlie's doing a good job. Really, this is his first year playing in the slot, so it's been an adjustment. And training camp, I think he got better and better as training camp went on, as the preseason went on. And so we're excited about him. And then he made his role right now is being a punt returner, and he made a huge explosive play against Baltimore with the touchdown. And so he's only going to get better in that regards. And he's a guy that really fits the culture in terms of coming in, working hard, getting out on the field early, staying late, always next to the coaches, wondering what he can do better. So we're excited to have him. And then Andre, he's made an impact on special teams. I don't know if people have noticed that, but he's a core special teams guy. He's on all 3 or 4 of them and making plays. And when his number was called last week in the game, he made a catch, and may have had 2. The one he caught on the sideline was close. Didn't have really any replay to see if he was in or not, but he's going to continue to get better the more reps he gets, the more playing time he gets, and we're excited about his future.
So when I watched Joe in the pregame warmups before the Arizona game, and I'm like, oh man, he's moving so different. He was simulating pressure in the pocket, and he had the jackhammer feet going and slide stepping and climbing. And I'm like, oh boy. And then he's out of pocket, half boots, full boots, nakeds, all that. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be different. How tough? I know what it's like for an offensive lineman when the quarterback has to be stationary, because of a medical scenario. How different is the dynamic for the receivers when, it's like, boy, I got to win right away on my route because the secondary, when we're extending and creating, that's kind of taken away. How big an adjustment was that for the guys?
Yeah, it really, it starts with the defense. And when a quarterback doesn't have mobility and they know he has to get the ball out quick, they can sit on routes, they can play tighter coverage and really disrupt the timing. And so it's tough on receivers. We understand that, our role is to get open. So, if the quarterback is, lacks mobility, then it's our job to find ways to get open. There's no excuses not to. But a healthy Joe, he's one of the best in the game. And so when you see him running around and using his legs and his feet, and he's one of the best out there. And so it's always good when he's healthy, and it looks like he's getting back to that standard, and it definitely makes our job a lot easier. And because he does a great job extending plays, and that's where a lot of times big plays come from him extending plays. And a couple of the touchdowns we scored were a result of him extending plays in the red zone. The first one, when he threw it back to Chase, he kind of the first two reads weren't there, so he extended the play and came back to the third read. And then the last touchdown, the first two reads weren't there, and he kept it alive with his legs and hit Jamarr in the back end zone. So it's always good when Joe's healthy, and he's going to continue to get healthy and continue to get better.
In the low red zone or red zone, when he's throwing it on third down, it's like he'll try to extend, take that extra time, because if you take a sack, it's still with McPherson, it's still a field goal, and you might score a touchdown based on, taking that extra time, holding on to the football. And, as fans, it's like, oh, get rid of it. But, Joe knows what he's doing. That's for sure. Watching you work with your receivers. I mean, you'll run with them. You'll go get in lines and catch passes from quarterbacks with them and that sort of thing. There's not probably a whole lot of receiver coaches around the National Football League that can do that, that are capable of doing that anymore physically. That's got to be, I think, a relatable thing with your players. Do you feel like coach, man, he's still got some juice?
Yeah, I try to, like I said, I don't take a moment in the NFL and coaching here with the Cincinnati Bengals for granted. I'm blessed to be here, blessed that Zach gave me this opportunity. Love the guys I'm around. So I just try to have fun and try to just try to soak up every moment, every experience, whether it's playing ping pong in the locker room, to grabbing a bite to eat on the road, or just being around the guys. And so as long as I can run routes, I like to put the cleats on and pre-game and go out there and run routes and catch balls, and just to allow them to see that I still have a little bit in me. But I'll tell you a quick story. What happened in Arizona, the last route we run, or it's a go ball. So you're just running full speed, 40 yards down the field. And AJ McCarron was my quarterback. I usually go last. And so I came off the ball, head down, grinding, pumping my arms. So it looked like I was about to run very fast. And so he threw it out there. And, one thing when you're 46, about to be 47, I don't have top end speed anymore. And so he threw it out there, but I had flashbacks of my playing days. So I said, I got to catch it. So I tried to burst and to catch it. And I ended up tweaking pulling my quad muscle. And so I went down, fell down on the ground. Guys were laughing. I got up. I said, no, I pulled my quad. And so, at some point I gotta slow down a little bit, but I always like to have fun and just experience what they're experiencing. So for me, I'm able to, if I'm running routes before the game, I can get feel of the grass, the turf. Is it slick? Is it, and the playing conditions, and now I can relate to them, and I know what they're going through. So, and the weather, if it's windy, if it's cold, I can kind of get a feel for what they're going through and add any advice if I can help.
That's great. That's a great point. And I mean, to be able to do that, that's huge. Is the quad okay? Was it just a minor thing, or how are you?
I'm questionable for this Sunday. I might have to rest up, and I got the bye week the following week, and then I should be 100%.
I hear you. Jamarr, I went up to him in the locker room in the post game, and I said, man, you were targeted 19 times. He goes, I was? I said, yeah, you caught 15 of them, man. That's a team record, and it was great. I thought he relayed the story with Zach. Zach called him up to his office, and Jamarr thought he was in trouble because, he said, I'm always bleeping open, and they take one little segment out of a 2.5 minute answer, and anything can happen. You know how it goes with that in terms of media selection, how they're going to present things. And he said, Zach, said to him, I heard your whole interview. It was awesome, man. That whole thing was awesome. And so he said he felt some relief there, but he is always open. I mean, the dude, it is unbelievable how that guy such a high percentage of the time, his stutter step is so dynamic, and then when he accelerates, the power that he accelerates with, he is such a rare cat, man. It really is.
He is. He is. It's a combination of strength, of speed. He has size, and so he's able to use all those to his advantage. And when you get the ball in his hands, and that's what we've done a better job this year, just getting the ball in his hands close to the line of scrimmage and allowing him to make plays and make guys miss and run through arm tackles and take a 5-yard catch and turn it into an explosive. And then when they get close and they want to challenge him, then we can go over the top. And so we definitely have to be better at the deep ball and as receivers, making sure we're good on our technique and allowing saving space for the quarterback, but just creating more explosives down the field in terms of the deep ball, which Chase did last week against Arizona. But we need more of that to really get this offense going and doing what we're capable of doing.
Just a tick away on that flea flicker to Trenton Irwin too. He got one of them, and then that one is like, oh, here's a flashback. It's going to happen again, and I don't think he repped for the flea flicker in either case, did he? But you guys have such faith and trust, and he knows what he's doing, right?
Yeah, he knows what he's doing, and it's a lot of times we want to put a guy that maybe they don't expect to go out for a pass, or if you put Tee out there, Jamarr, they're not buying any run. They're gonna focus on him. So
right.
You maybe put another guy in there, and they lose track. And he did a good job in the game going down blocking that safety.
Yep.
In the run game, so it complemented that as well. And so just overthrew him a little bit, but next time we'll hopefully make it work.
So I know it's the early stages of prep for the Seattle Seahawks, but traditionally Pete Carroll has a very very sound defensive football team. There's no question about that. How are they on the back end?
Yeah, very impressive. In terms, I talked to my guys yesterday and told them this is going to be one of the toughest secondaries we've gone against so far. They play a great energy. They're long. That's one of the staples of Pete Carroll's defense and corners. They're 6'4", over 6 feet, 6'4", long arms. They're going to challenge you at the line of scrimmage. But the thing that stands out is they play with great passion and energy, and they fly around. And so we've got to make sure that we match that intensity, because if not, they can make you look bad. And they get after it up front, which helps the secondary out. So it's a great challenge. They've got a great defense, and so the preparation has begun, and we'll get a great game plan, and then tomorrow the guys will get back and we'll get ready to go.
Yeah, I'm looking at from a philosophical standpoint with their pressure packages. Pete Carroll, he's known for running a 3-4 quote. Well, a 3-4 is a different 3-4 these days than back in the day. But when he's got, I think it's 10 different players are involved in the 16 sacks that they've got, and a couple of them are members of the secondary. It's like four down linemen, 4 linebackers, a couple of DBs. They're bringing them from everywhere with everybody, aren't they?
Yeah, they've got a sound defense. They understand the scheme, and they play with great energy. And so when you play with great energy, you understand the scheme. They don't do a lot, but what they do well. They know their weaknesses, they know the strengths, and they play with great passion and energy. So, like I said, it's going to be a tremendous challenge, and we've got to make sure that we have a great week of preparation, and we match their intensity on Sunday, and it should be a good game.
Coach, there's no doubt in my mind that the wide receiver group will match that intensity and energy, because, man, you get it out of them. They work hard for you. I think part of the reason they work so hard is because they know they're getting coached so well, and you got to take advantage of that. And you got them playing at a very, very high level, and appreciate everything you do for the Cincinnati Bengals. And thanks for spending some time with us today, sir.
Yeah, always great to come on and share some insight. And like I said, it's a big game this on Sunday. Need the fans to be out there, give us that home field advantage, which I know they will. And we need to get another win, and then go into the bye, and then have this really second half of the season to keep getting better.
That's it. 3-3 at the bye. Even Steven, and rest up and get ready. Here we go.
Ready.
Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, man.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.